Charlotte Holmes, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So you've been my yoga teacher for the last 3.5 weeks now, and we've been learning so much more than what I ever expected from yoga teacher training.
Mm-hmm.
I really just expected to be doing a lot of stretching. One of my goals was like, I'm going to get flexible, I'm going to stretch this out, stretch that out. But it wasn't that in the best of ways. I feel like I had this misconceived idea of what yoga was. I understood there was a science and there was deeper meaning to it, but you really brought that to what we were learning, even in the asana perspective. What are people, and what was I misconceiving yoga as, and what do you truly believe it to be?
So the reason I love teaching asana here in particular on these trainings is because having done many trainings around the world for the last 15 years in other schools at other places that have all been incredible in their own right. Here, the focus isn't asana. The understanding here is that the asana is just the front wheel of the motorbike, but one needs the entire motorbike to ride efficiently, right? And so for me, there's this deeper challenge that comes alongside just teaching on a vinyasa 200 hours, for example, where the focus is the asana. And there's nothing wrong with that. These trainings have held me really beautifully over the years. They serve a deep purpose for many people. But it's so beautiful to be here because not only am I teaching 200 hours worth of foundational asana, but I'm also helping people unlearn these misconceptions. And it's more crucial from the asana perspective than it is the others, because the Kriya, when most people come here, is new. Much of the pranayama when they come here is new. Much of the wisdom is new. The sacred ritual is new. The meditation is new. And so there's this openness that comes with this newness, whereby they're just absorbing, versus sitting in the first asana practice. It's like, oh, I know this. I know downward dog. I've been to a vinyasa class. I've done hot yoga. I used to do Bikram, etc., etc. So there's this beautiful opportunity to really question what it is we think we know. And ultimately that then informs the way that you learn all the other bits, right? And so that's why I love being here and teaching that. And to answer your question, what is it that we think it's just asana. We have this very reductionist view by the way that it's just spread across the world of yoga just being the shapes. Because, it's come to yoga. And so you go to yoga and you spend 45 minutes into an hour making the shapes. But that is asana. So what I'd love, my wish is for every studio that teaches yoga asana, just call it that. Just call it that.
Yeah.
I teach yoga asana. Incredible, great. And it's not looking down the nose at yoga asana teachers only. No, I've spent 12 beautiful years teaching mainly yoga asana, and it's life-changing. It changed my life. It's an incredible part of this body of knowledge. And I wish that people had an understanding that it can be a beautiful doorway. It can be a beautiful segue into something deeper. And it should be the doorway. It should be more than just the end goal.
Yeah.
Get deeper in splits or lengthen my hamstrings.
Do a handstand.
And where does it end, right? Do a handstand. Okay, now do a one-handed handstand. Okay, now do that with your eyes closed. Like, sure, fun, amazing. And wow, imagine if everyone that has had an experience of yoga asana was informed in that practice that they went to, that this wasn't the only part of the puzzle. And just knowing that, imagine how many people would then have gone, oh, well, okay, so that made me feel quite good in my body. What else is there?
Yeah.
You just keep opening these doors and peeling back these layers. And so, yeah, it would be incredible to have that as a foundational understanding worldwide. And that's why teaching here is so beautiful, because it's really embedding that deep into the base level understanding, irrespective of whether you've done it 200 hours before. Many people that were in your group as well had done a training, and so had this foundational understanding, which was also embedded with this understanding. So it's nice to have that opportunity to rewire the asana brain
Yeah.
in a deeper way.
So if yoga asana for most people is the first piece of the puzzle, what would you recommend for someone who's just doing yoga asana, or maybe just starting to be that second piece if they are wanting to discover a bit more of what yoga is?
So my invitation for anyone that has an asana practice would be, can you find within that movement practice, can you also find moments of stillness? So if you're someone that uses the body, can move the body, asana essentially we could look at in its most basic form as movement of the physical body. So what is the counterpart to movement is stillness. And rather than it being an opposition to movement, it's an expression of movement itself, right? It's allowing yourself to locate stillness within you. So my invitation would be that, I think, would be the first piece after asana would be, can you, before you start moving in your practice, and at the end of your practice, can you find time to really be still? And it doesn't have to be for long. And you could call it meditation if that helps you to compartmentalize what you're doing. But I think for many people, again, there's a rife misunderstanding when it comes to meditation as well. So rather, I'm moving my physical body, and now I'm having a moment to be still in my physical body would be a really nice segue, because the stillness translates into meditation. It translates into the breath. It translates into the Kriya. It translates into all of the rest of it. Stillness is such a fundamental piece of the puzzle. And if you can learn to locate it physically, then you're off to a very strong start.
Yeah. What's the misunderstanding around meditation?
I think what I hear most is, and what I also misunderstood was that, I can't, my mind, I can't get it to stop making thought. I can't get it to be quiet. I can't get my mind to be still. I can't shut it up. And ultimately, that's not all we're trying, right? You now know and have a deeper understanding. It's about, where is my awareness within those thoughts? So the mind's going to generate thoughts, whether we like it or not. It's the purpose of it. But rather than feeding them energy by allowing your attention to be drawn to them, can I draw my attention elsewhere? And how long can I keep my attention elsewhere? Is essentially a nice, simple way to understand meditation. But wow, I wish I'd known that when I started learning yoga, when I first went to those first few classes. And we can't know it all at the same time, right? We can't learn it all in one lesson. So, it all comes when it's necessary. But I think with meditation, it's this deep understanding that if your mind is making sounds when you're sat there quietly, good. Rather than thinking I'm doing it wrong, the fact that you can see the thoughts, the fact that you're sat there and they're still going is step one. You're going, so the thoughts are happening and I'm not even doing anything. I'm sat here, I'm not moving my body, I'm not speaking, no one's talking to me, and yet they're still coming. It means the thoughts and I are two separate things. And that in itself is a huge experience to have. It's a big step in the first, me and thoughts is separate. And then from there, there's a whole deep technique and lots of different ways to do it. But that's the piece of advice with meditation. I say, don't worry. If the thoughts get louder, good. Because the thoughts, what you find is the thoughts are always loud, but you're normally distracting yourself.
Yeah.
You're going about your day, you're silencing them with sound or food or substance or work or exercise or whatever. So just allowing yourself to just be with them might feel confronting, but know that it's not that they go anywhere. You're just suddenly going from unaware to aware of them. And that's a good step to take, in the right direction.
And when did you start deepening into yoga? I know you said that yoga, you didn't just drop the ball into we are separate from the mind and all of the wisdom right away, but how did that journey begin, and then how did that unfold?
I first went to a yoga class when I was 19. I moved to London from Cornwall, which is right in the south of England. And in Cornwall, I used to dance. I danced from a very young age. I used to do gymnastics and that. So I moved my body a lot. And when I went to London, I moved to London to model. And what I found was to go to a dance class was super expensive. And at 19 years old, I was on my wages were small. And then there was an Ashtanga studio next to the dance studio in Covent Garden. And they had classes that were like half the price of these dance classes. I vaguely remember my mum saying that she'd done yoga when she was younger. So 19-year-old me was like, oh, it's like body movements and I can dance. So that seems like a creative way to explore my physical body. So I went to an Ashtanga class. And luckily for me, I was dancing and had been for a long time. And so my range of motion and strength in my body was relatively good. Because what I didn't realize, I was signing up for a secondary series Ashtanga class, not a primary series. And for those that don't know, it's the second step in, you normally just do primary series, which what it means is the foundational shapes for the different postures. So they're just not as deep. You don't need as much range or flexibility or strength. Secondary series is much more much more complicated in terms of feet going behind head and all sorts of back bends and things and twists. And so it's safe to say I had a moment, 20 minutes into that class where I'm thinking, what have I signed up for? But what happened was my competitive dance, physical 19-year-old self was like, come on, you can do this. And so I pushed and I twisted and I breathed and I huffed and I puffed and got through the practice. And it was incredible. Like, it was incredible to move my body in that way. And especially in a body, in a room full of bodies that know what they're doing, because everyone else in secondary series is like, doing all the things. And I was like, wow. And I remember sitting at the end, just sitting in Siddhasana at the end of practice, like when she brought us all up to finish and close. And I had my first, I'm going to call it for want of a better phrase, like my first out of body sort of samadhi like experience in that class. And it terrified me. I suddenly left my body. And it was only when I think she ommed or she made a sound and she brought me back into the room. But I was like, what happened? Like, I had to check myself. I was terrified. I didn't speak to anyone about it. I didn't tell anyone. I didn't ask her. I didn't mention it. And I didn't go back to an Ashtanga class for a long time. I was like, there must be something wrong. I've done all this physical stuff. I must have overdone it. And hindsight obviously has informed me that was just a really wonderful, beautiful awakening. My physical body took me there. And beautiful to know, your physical body can take you to those experiences for sure, which is why asana is such a powerful tool. That said, I carried on. I went to more gentle vinyasa classes. The love affair continued, and it was a very physical love affair. I just loved moving my body in that way. It felt creative. It felt deeper than dance in a different way. Dance was very creative expression. I could be free to move in the way I wanted. Yoga, it felt more disciplined, and it had this deeper, almost ancestral pull within it somehow that I didn't really understand, but that was why I kept coming back.
Yeah.
And so, that was it then. I was hooked. I was going a few times a week, and to classes where sometimes we meditated a little bit and sometimes we did a little bit of breath work, but not really. It was mainly movement.
And that was in London?
in London, and then whenever I traveled, I was modeling. So I was traveling a lot with work to different cities around the world, and I'd seek out like these classes. It became like I got a regular practice from that age because it was something that kept my body happy. And then at 22, 23, I decided to come into India to do a 200-hour training. And for whatever reason, I went to an Ashtanga training. So yeah, I did 200 hours Ashtanga training, made a vow at the end of that training never to teach or do Ashtanga ever again because my body was mangled by the end of it. It was really intense. It was beautiful. It was just in Lakshmanjula, so not far from here. And I began teaching straight away back in London, vinyasa classes. And I just loved it. The creative, the dance and the yoga together started to merge into these sequences that were just so full of, my creative expression. And people felt good. They left and they were like, wow, I like this. This feels good. And it felt good to be able to give someone that experience. And then, over the last however many years, I'm 37 now. So of those years, it's been a back and forth to India as often as I can for different trainings, basically, until I came here. And I came here and never left.
It was from all these trainings that the puzzle pieces started being put together?
Exactly, yeah. I think I was lucky enough to have beautiful teachers and who planted seeds of deeper intention in terms of the practice, which meant I kept coming back. I kept wanting to explore more. And my love and want to know more in terms of yoga as a holistic, I just wanted to keep brushing back. It's like I was excavating something and I was like, there's more here, there's more here. I wanted to keep going. And because of that, it goes deeper. It has to. If it's being taught in a way that is true to its source and true to its holistic knowledge, the student should go beyond just the first step.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, I was lucky enough to have those people guiding me and sharing with me. And so, it got deeper and deeper. And I ended up here in 2022 at a summit. So they have the Sattva Summit every year. It's a week-long mini festival full of such high energy celebration. Big practice every morning with Anand, like 2.5 hours, 150 people, all breathing and screaming and shouting and dancing. And I experienced Kriya for the first time and it just blew my lid off. And I was like, oh shit, I've been teaching this wrong for like 10 years. Like, how have I been? But it wasn't at all. It was just the next piece of the puzzle. It was the next evolution of what I needed to be knowing and experiencing. And so I booked my 300 hours here. During that summit week, I was like, I'm coming back here next November and I'm going to do 300 hours. And that's the next training I'm doing. Yeah. So it feels now like a very obvious evolution of how many yogis come down that path. But the body being the doorway and the entryway is something I'm very passionate about. We all have bodies, and if we can learn to move them from a yogic standpoint, we'd all love our bodies more. There'd be such a deeper reverence for the vessel that we carry and that we use. So I love teaching asana here for that reason.
Do you feel like everyone in the world should be doing some form of yoga asana?
Yeah. I mean, why not? Imagine. There's so much. Wow, we've got this. There's such a disconnect from self and source and our essential nature. Like, we are nature. We're not separate from the earth. And so it's that, like, coming back to that energy of like rooting within ourselves. And that starts with the physical body. It starts with realizing you have a body that's part of your expression of being. And we're so here. We're so stuck here and then just externally pulled into, social media and screens. And wow, It's such a sickness that we're into. If everyone could just come from here and just drop down. And asana is the key, one of the keys that can help that door unlock. So yeah.
If someone really doesn't resonate with asana or yoga or even just the word yoga, I know a lot of people back home in Melbourne or Australia, a lot of blokes, when I was in carpentry, if I told them that I was in India doing yoga, they'd call me some words. But for people who are really don't wish to attach to that label of yoga, where else have you found that same sense of spiritual, mental, physical embodiment and enlightenment in your life? It could be something that yoga entails, but something that people can always tap into.
I mean, dance, going to that feeling of being watching your favorite band perform music and singing, and that feeling of swaying and jumping and clapping and that rush of that feeling. It's a similar experience, right? It's that embodiment. It's the recognition of energy moving in your physical system, which essentially is what yoga is, right? It's asking you to just tap into this and the energetic value of you in all those different layers. And so, yeah, I'd say go jump and dance and scream at a concert and allow yourself to feel that rush. I guess the sad reality is that those places are often tied with substance and alcohol and drugs and other things that obviously alter that state. But if you can maybe one morning just get out the shower and put on for your favorite song and just dance, and
put on
sing.
Your favorite dance suit.
Yeah. And just no clothes necessary. Just have a moment. Is that feeling of it's liberation, it's freedom within your own being without any judgment, especially judgment from yourself, right? That's the thing, you judge ourselves so cruelly. And that's why people are so allergic to yoga asana or yoga. Because my body doesn't look like that. I can't make shapes like that. It's that comparison piece. It's like this, again, so much misunderstanding is there. It's just, it's feeling the self and the body from the inside out.
Yeah.
Not outside in, not how does it look, you sat versus me sat like this. It's how are you feeling that shape in your body when you feel inside. How's the sensation in your knee, in your chest, in your back? And how does that make you feel? It's that recognition of sensation. And we've all got that. We've all got access to that. And it's a liberating quality to start to tune into.
Yeah.
And you can get that from dance, from any form of movement. We've got I think stopping and taking a minute to, how does this feel?
That can be confronting.
Massively so, yeah. Again, because we're stuck here.
Yeah.
We're stuck here. We're stuck in our minds.
Especially when we're just so stuck in our minds and on social media, and especially after COVID, whenever we think, oh, how does this feel? And it's like, oh, there's a twinge there. Oh my God, am I dead? People are more and more becoming hypochondriacs about their health. And I see it might have been like this forever, but yeah, if we feel our heart beating a little bit faster than it usually does because we're stressed. I used to be like it. I remember one morning I tried to cancel work because my heart was beating. I thought I was going to have a heart attack, but I was just extremely stressed.
Yeah.
Like waking up with rashes all over my body just because my diet wasn't right. I was extremely stressed. I was burnt out and I had to cancel work because I was like, what is going on? My whole body's inflamed, but I just needed to stop. Have you had moments like that as well in your life? The body's trying to speak to you that your mind can't really.
I've been really lucky. I've had and it's not just luck, it's choice. And I recognize that within that there's luck. Luck within that choice in terms of I've always had such a deep connection to my physical body because I danced from such a young age. I danced from as soon as I could stand up on both my feet, like my hips and my knees were going. And so my parents sent me to dance, and I've always had a very deep connection to my physical body. And with that has thankfully come a lifelong relationship that means I I'm aware of how intrinsically linked I am to my physical body, which sounds so obvious when I say it, but for so many people, that's a new revelation. Like, yeah, just that recognition that the reason you've got a rash is because there's stress there, or the reason that your heart's beating fast is because there's anxiety. And just, I've, again, that's why I'm so passionate about teaching it, because I've got such a deep connection to my physical. And the body really keeps the score. Like, it's a real good telltale. Like, if something's not up, if something's wrong, like with you on any level, emotional, energetic, not just physical, but the physical body will respond.
Yeah.
And so if you're listening carefully enough, like those little whispers, like it's telling you something. And so, yeah, I've known to lean into that intuition for a long time. And of course, having these practices has helped to strengthen that for such a long time. And even through my darkest nights and my lowest, most painful points, I've been able to listen, which has been a real blessing to navigate those moments with greater clarity and greater strength and self-love. Like, because I'm listening. Yeah, and knowing what to listen for, it's allowed me to navigate some pretty dark points.
Do you mind if we dive into those dark points and what that looks like for you, of how you navigated them and how you found your way through them, through your body?
So I was married once before. I'm married again. I was married once before. And I was running a retreat with a former best friend in this retreat company together. Me and the friend and my ex-husband, we were running the retreat in Ibiza. We'd all been in Ibiza having a bit of a nice time. And then he went home and my friend and I stayed to run this retreat. We had 12 guests and off we go. And it was a 7-day retreat. We start retreat, it's all going swimmingly. Everything's amazing. I'm teaching yoga in the morning, whatever. It gets to halfway through the week and she says to me, I've got it. Can you come outside a minute? I've got something to tell you. Long story short, she drops this bombshell that she and my husband had a situation, an affair, a cheating, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, she told me at the retreat. And then obviously there was a moment of like shock, disbelief, horror. And then I think for the 3 days that I had to finish the retreat, in which obviously I asked her to leave, I think in that moment, that was the first time maybe where I could feel my body really responding and me not being able to give it what it needed. So I obviously went to shock. I thought, right, I need to finish this retreat and then go home and have a conversation with him and clear up my life and sort out what was going on. But I had to like press pause. It was like I had this big news and it's okay, just park that there a minute. I'm just going to finish this 4 days, because also I had 12 guests there. Nothing was going to change in those 4 days, but I wanted to finish the retreat for them. So yeah, paused. And over those 3-4 days, some like stiffness, stress. And then by the day I woke up to leave Ibiza to get on the plane to go back to confront my former husband, my back spasmed as I went to wake up, full spasm, couldn't move. And then I went to shout for my friend who was in the room next door to me. And as I went to shout her name, my jaw completely locked. So my entire physical body was just like, no, like, you're done, enough. Managed to get on the plane with a lot of help from a lot of people who also knew what was going on and loved me very much. So yeah, got me home. But that was to your point earlier, like that was, I guess, a time when I really could see, like, feel and experience me not being in harmony with what was going on. But yeah, I mean, big piece of news to carry. So, but it was interesting. Once I got home and I spoke to him and he admitted it and all this stuff, and the everything started to unravel. what was interesting was because I then had spaciousness, I wasn't carrying 12 guests on a retreat. I had spaciousness to really listen and be with what was emotionally, energetically, physically. And I had my practice. And it was such an interesting reflection of like, it was as if the world was on fire around me. Like everything was burning, it burned down. Like the rug pulled out from under my feet, everything gone, everything that I knew it. Like your husband and your best friend have an affair. Like it's like, I don't even know, like that everything around me was just destroyed. Yeah, I had this deep sense of like, no, you're okay though. Like, yes, everything's going wrong. Yes, but you're fine. And wow, like what a gift, what a blessing that I could be in that deep sense of grief, like deep grief, and simultaneously hold myself in love.
Yeah.
So much pain, so much betrayal, and simultaneously hold them in love. Not just me. I could hold them. I wasn't angry at them. I was upset at the decision they made, but I wasn't angry. It was such a, and I look back now and I'm just like, look at the situation with so I'm so grateful, so much gratitude that I had that capacity to hold that bandwidth of emotion and energetic feeling and navigate it. And it wasn't just me, right? I obviously had family around me and friends and lots of loved ones. And I had moments where I was really crying on the floor, crying on the bathroom floor, so to speak. And yet at no point, did I want to punch him in the face or set her, house on fire or all of the crazy things that, you see in the movies and that people do when these sorts of things happen. And also society was loud. I had lots of voices from other people telling me how I should be handling it and what I should be thinking and what I should be feeling. And really, again, interesting to have such a deep practice where I was able to be like, oh no, I know what I think and what I feel and what is true for me. And being able to hold my mum's grief and anger and almost be able to hold her in it. It was such a gift. And really, it was because of these practices. Like there's no way I would have managed the way that I did with that situation, through that situation, if I didn't have a practice. And luckily, that 300-hour training that I booked here was 3 weeks after I found out that retreat that I ran in Ibiza and I got the news. 3 weeks later, I was boarding a plane to come here to do my 300 hours.
Was that already booked?
Already booked. Yeah. The universe aligns, right? So I carried on. I got on the plane and I came here to do my training just like I was going to. And I did a whole month of processing that traumatic event and used it as a really wonderful experiment. I was like, oh, these Kriyas work, do they? Let's see. Let's see if I can really transmute this and alchemize this deep-rooted trauma. And boy, it worked. Yeah, I did 300 hours of training in the November, finished in the December, went to Goa all by myself, had Christmas and New Year by myself. For the first time ever. I'd never been alone at Christmas and New Year, and it was wonderful and deeply sad. I was so sad. I remember waking up on Christmas Day and being so upset and so liberated at the same time. It was like screaming and crying and running into the ocean, like terrified and liberated at the situation I was in. And I was like, oh, wow, it was great. Yeah, and then I came back here and did master teacher training in January. And then it started to become very clear that I was going to stay here a bit longer. And again, it's funny once you learn to start to listen to the universe, you start to lean towards, these synchronous events that happen and glimmers and little moments of magic, and when you start to really listen and pay attention and trust and lean into them, you really are fully supported at all times. And so it's like, wow, I found out this, and then I've got this training booked, and then I don't have to go home because my ex-husband can look after my dog, and financially that's a situation that's fine, and I can afford to be here and do masters. Like, that's nice. And then it got to the end of that training, and I was 15 years in London, and I was kind of ready to move on, and my ex-husband and I were due to be moving to Ibiza the following summer together. So I was ready to leave London anyway, and I was like, oh, well, now I'm in here. That's quite nice. This is quite nice. It's like, oh. So I said to Anand, I said, I would love to, I'm good asana teacher, I love it, and I would love to teach on the 200 hours. Like, how does that work? He was like, cool, you can start in March. And so I stayed. And again, it was terrifying and didn't know what I was doing. I didn't really have a plan. I still had to get divorced properly and move out of my house in London. And what was I going to do with my dog? And all of these things. But I just was like, okay, I'm just going to stay here and teach on this training. And I did. And it was, wow, just such a joy. Like, the biggest joy in my life is teaching on these trainings. I really love it. Like, I love it so much. And I had that experience for the first time, and I was like, oh, this is where I'm supposed to be. Okay, cool. That's great. Like, so I went home and did all the logistical bits of divorce and moving back in with my parents at 35 and saying goodbye to my dog, which sucked. Wow.
That would have been a hard part.
That was a really, really shit part. And I still get to see her every summer. I'll see her in 8 weeks. You know, my ex-husband and I, we have a relationship of sorts, which means I get to see my dog every summer. How beautiful is that? And I've been here for as many trainings as I'm allowed on my visa ever since. Get to meet amazing people like you and Sapphire, and people that really want to understand, and they want to go beyond here and beyond shutting out those little nudges and glimmers, and they want to listen. And it's so nice to teach and learn from people like that are willing to travel all the way here to do that. Oh, like, really, what's my life? How nice is that? I don't even know what question you asked me, but I feel like here we are.
I want to know on one of your superpowers. I feel one of your superpowers is the word "and."
I don't say "but." I know I rarely say "but."
You always say "and." You say it when in normal conversation, but also when you were telling your story. Every quote unquote negative you said followed with an "and." And you always, in every sentence you just spoke, I was noticing that every single sentence, if it started with a positive, then it may have finished with a negative, or if it started with a negative, it finished with a positive. There was always this polarity between the two. There was always this brighter side. Did you always have this magic word and this superpower in you to always identify that things do have that brighter side to them? Or is it really true that we can only count the dots looking back?
Oh, who knows? I have no clue. I have no clue because I only have what I know now. And so I feel very grateful to be able to see things the way I do. In that sense, I guess it's like, and we rewrite our past in this moment anyway. So it's like, so yes, I guess I have always had it. If it's how I am now, then it's now how I have always been. And it means I can look back on my marriage to James, my ex-husband, with such gratitude and joy. Like, we had such a great time. There's no resentment there whatsoever. There's nothing to forgive. There's nothing to forget. There's just a chapter of my life that finished. And I think that comes with that. It's this capacity to see that ultimately there's no wrong decision. There's no wrong way. There's no wrong path. There's no like right and wrong for me is quite a black and white. And I don't know about that. It feels more in the way that light and dark aren't separate to each other. They're the same. They're a part. They're an expression of the same thing. I feel love and grief is the same. Like you can't have one without the other. So it's not about, right or wrong, positive or negative. It's like they coexist. There's this, as you now know, singularity, like masquerading as duality, right? The whole time.
Yeah.
They are the same thing. They just appear as two different things. So it's never in spite of. It's never this, but it has to be and. It has to be. It's all part of it. And there's such gratitude for, really for all of it. Like a hand on heart. So grateful for that experience. So grateful for the way that played out. And there's lots of pieces to the puzzle that I don't need to go into that made it slightly more sour than, it was sour enough. Your best friend and your ex-husband having an affair is sour enough, but there were some nasty layerings and things that were said and manipulated by certain people in that story that made the whole thing pretty nasty.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful that that's exactly how it played out, because it meant this is where I am. I'm married to the most incredible human being. I'm so sad you didn't meet him. It's just, I could cry thinking about how amazing he is. And I got to meet him. I got to come here and meet him. Like, what? So, of course, it's and every time. I pray everyone can fall into that space where they recognize it's not none of it's happening in spite of you. It's all it's happening for you. And if you can lean into that knowing, life suddenly starts to expand in such a great way.
Yeah. You said something before that spoke to me. We rewrite the past in the now.
Of course, because all past is memory, which is stored in me. The only place that it exists, any of those memories around what she said to me, what he did, it's in here. It's in this present moment. So I get to choose how that is for me. And that's the only important thing. Ultimately, I can't control what she thinks about it, what he thinks about it, what my parents feel about it. That's not for me to worry about. But from where I'm sat, I get to choose it every moment. And so I refuse to look back on any of it with anything but love and gratitude and grace. And no, it's really for the deeper unfolding of being here talking to you.
It's amazing.
And the same with our future. What's the future? It's a thought, it's a creative insight, it's a feeling, it's a want, it's a manifestation, but it all exists in here, right? It hasn't come yet. So how is it going to be? Like, my future's going to be fucking epic because I'm choosing it now. And that's not to say that there won't be moments of grief and sadness and pain and whatever. And it's going to be epic. Like, there's no anxiety around, what if I do? No, it's just, now I'm choosing this and it's going to be epic. Hello, Mr. Ant. Look at this. This guy wants to.
And that's the funny thing about choosing a future as well. People provide goals towards their future. Like, we're so scared to succeed because we know that succeeding is going to come with that level of destruction, sacrifice. It's going to come with losing what we have now. It's going to come with pain, grief, and so much joy in between and continuing on. But we all want the top of the mountain. But whenever we think about the actual process, it's so terrifying. That's what usually scares people off, even starting to climb the mountain. Can you talk to that? I'm sure you've experienced that in your life and how people can sort of start to change that perspective.
I mean, that's the thing. It's just that I think that realigning of what you're actually saying to yourself. You say you're worried about doing something because you're worried about failing, but it's not. Exactly like you said. You're actually, what you're worried about is the success that comes with it. You're scared of your own greatness. And once you realize that, once you can be like, oh, that's actually what I'm afraid of, then there's a choice that you make. It's like, be afraid of losing who I am now, putting that chapter behind me, maybe having to, move on from friends or places. But it's the feeling the fear and not letting the fear direct the decision making. It's feeling the fear, recognizing it as a feeling, it passes, and then doing the thing anyway. Is really like fear, the fear dictating one's decision making and dictating one's life. Root chakra imbalance, need for a sense of control, and ultimately we're never in control. Like it's just this is the biggest illusion, and we have jobs and cars and houses and schedules because we want to try and masquerade this idea that we're in control of everything, but not really. Because else I wouldn't have written the ex-husband and the ex-best friend having an affair piece, right? That was never on the cards. So how do you account for those moments? You can't. And there's so many of those moments every day, really, when you look at it. They happen often, not to that catastrophe perhaps, but little moments of like, oh, okay, that didn't quite go as I expected. So we're always presented with the unknown. If we can say, okay, feel the fear, go forward anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, and it brings more magic into our life as well.
Yeah, of course it brings what. But that is the magic. The magic is in the unknown. And again, we think there's this misunderstanding. We think the magic is in the control pieces, but it's not. That's just the mundane. They're the bits that we need to fall into. And as soon as you allow yourself to step into those places of unknown with full trust, it's like, you start to discover things. It's like those magical bits. Like, I'm just now living at the foothills of the Himalayas, teaching yoga. How did that? If I'd have stayed on the, rigid control piece or the what society says you should do, I'd probably still be married to my ex-husband and made it work, because that's what you do in marriage.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like we've all experienced some aspect of like that magic where it's just that synchronous conversation, or I'm out in the street and I'm singing a song and someone walks past me and they're humming the same song. It's like, what is even going on? It's a random song. I have that one all the time. I'm always humming, but I feel like we've all experienced that magic, and then we experience it and then we don't really notice it, or we sort of shy away from it instead of giving it all the attention it deserves. That is so amazing. It's so incredible. And I always like to see those magical synchronous moments as just such a reminder that I'm in the magic. I'm choosing the path less walked, less traveled. I'm choosing to deepen into deepen into love rather than fear.
Yeah.
And it's always such a beautiful reminder. Yeah, to always let magic in.
Yeah, and it comes down to ultimately the capacity that you have within you to be present, because only if you're present in the now do you notice those moments.
Yeah.
And this is the issue, right? We live in a world where we're constantly, our attention is being pulled everywhere other than the present. Like these big companies rely on our attention being pulled in other places. So it stems back to that, like the capacity to find yourself in the now. And the more you can learn to look at yourself in the now, the greater magic, joy, contentment, bliss exists. Guaranteed without fail. The more you can just be here, be where your feet are, it's all good. Even when the shit hits the fan. And that was the realization, right? It's like, oh my God, she's just told me this thing. I've got a retreat to run. My husband, my dog, and I was like, but I'm here. Okay. And I'm breathing and my body's functioning and I can feel emotions running through me and I can feel my energy, and actually I'm okay.
Yeah.
Be here now.
It's funny, that story that you spoke before, I had a very similar situation. of finishing up a party, and then my ex-partner's best friend pulling me aside and telling me something very terrible about a bathroom and 5 guys and cocaine. And it was that same thing of I'm about to hop in an Uber back home from the city, which is like an hour drive, and you just get dropped this bombshell. But I did not have those tools back then. I was also on cocaine, but
and
wow, actually, I never said this without saying but, and I'm a gentleman, and although I didn't react the way which I would now, I still didn't react in a way that I'm totally, completely embarrassed of, or wasn't me in my true soul and spirit. And it taught me so much, that a lot of that experience throughout those 22 years. Yeah, onto that.
How did it feel to say "and" in that sentence?
That felt really good. That was new, actually.
Good.
That was something that's new for me. I'm gonna
take that.
Good, please. In Australia, we say "but" a lot.
We say "but" a lot. We're always, again, making excuses for ourselves.
Yeah, it's a funny word sometimes when we talk on rear end, but but and yeah, it's a new one. And okay.
Good.
That's something new to add to the language.
Good.
And from your polarity of that relationship to this new relationship, what's different within the dynamic, and how does it affect you?
What's different I'm a completely different person. The person that married Simon is a different woman to the person that married James. And that's exactly how it should be. I'm not the same person. And I look back on the woman that I was when I married James, and thank you. And I have such reverence for her, and I'm so grateful to her for the way she showed up for herself and the way she lived life with what she knew. And that's not who I am now. And so, yeah, it's interesting because there's never really been a comparison. Like, I can't compare because I'm not the same person. It would be unfair to compare us to us now, me and Simon, to me in that relationship. Like, they're in two different places in time, but I'm two different people. And so, yeah, where I'm living from. And one informs the other. I'm only the way I am in the relationship with Simon because I had the relationship with James. I'm only in this marriage in the way that I am because I had the marriage to James. They're really not comparable. They're part of my timeline. They're part of the evolution of me within marriages and relationships. And it's so interesting, when you do compare. James and I had a lockdown town hall London Hackney wedding with families wearing masks, and there's not very many of us. We went to the pub afterwards on a double-decker bus and had lots of champagne, and it's great. And then 6 months later, we went to Ibiza and we had a big party, like 3 days worth, no family, just friends. All the outfits and mushrooms and fun. It was so fun. It was incredible. To date, still one of the best weekends of my life. Insanely fun. And Simon and I quietly eloped to Denmark last October, the two of us, and it was perfect. And again, like, you compare them like that, you're like, well, what sort of person are you? I thought you were the sort of person that liked to get married in that way. And again, yeah, you can't compare them because I'm a different person. What I appreciate now is I love a party, don't get me wrong. I don't need so many mushrooms anymore, just a lot of Kriya before. And I'm just as high.
Just some Shiva Shakti.
Yeah, a little bit of Prana Shakti and I'm good. But it's interesting. Actually, the noisiest piece for me isn't in my own head. It's often, it's the noise of the society. It's the noises of people around you. It's the family and the friends and the people that have an opinion of how you should be doing things that can really also get in the way. So that laid in with this, if you're in your own head and you're not able to find your own center, then that's an extra layer of imbalance to throw you off. And so that's why these tools are so crucial in the world we live in.
What's a societal norm that you feel like we could question a little bit more, that we take on as just such a norm?
Women getting married in their 30s and having babies still blows my mind that that's what's expected of us. And again, I've been lucky to know I've never wanted children. I've known for as long as I can remember, I've known that I don't want to birth my own children in this body. I think there's been other lifetimes perhaps. And when I was married to my ex-husband, he also didn't want children. So luckily we were very vocal about the fact that we didn't want that. And there was still, the question still came up. It was so like, oh, but you're married now. Won't you both change your mind? That thing. And even then around will you get married again? There's just those questions like this. They're quite weighted, aren't they? It's quite like, so no business of yours if I'm going to choose to get married again after what I went through. And like, why'd you care?
Yeah.
And I don't think people really do. I think they're just making sound. I think a lot of the time they're just making noise.
Yeah.
I don't think it doesn't come back with enough thought, really. Do you want kids? It's like, if you actually stop to think about that question, you probably wouldn't ask it. But again, societal word vomit just comes out of people's mouths quite frequently. So, you sure you don't want kids? You make a great mum. It's such a random. It's like, you make a great clay pigeon shooter because I've got a good aim. It's like, so what's that got to do with anything? What? Because I'm a middle-aged woman that's married. Therefore. So it's definitely one for me. I have a big standing up for the 30 to 40-year-old women that know they don't want children and then aren't sure if they want children, and being like, it's okay to not know, and it's okay to not want children. We don't all need to have children. And I've got so many children in my life. So I have so many children without having my own children. Godchildren and nieces, and my life is rich with children, and I get to play this role of mothering them in a different way. And I couldn't do that if I had my own children. So, that's definitely one that's needs to be. Let women be. Let people be. Just do their thing and stop having an opinion on everything. That's another thing. Stop having an opinion on everything. These societal norms, it's like, what do you think about this? What do you think about that?
Like in terms of politics and
all of it.
Everything.
Global warming, politics, like veganism, non-veganism, what you eat, what you don't eat, what clothes you wear. It's like, relax, man. Like, you don't need to have an opinion on everything. Let people be. People want to put tattoos.
We don't have to hear everybody's opinion as well.
It's like, don't worry. It's okay. It's okay to not have an opinion on something. Just be able to sit with someone and be with someone, irrespective of their skin color, tattoos, hair, clothing, political, whatever. And just, you can be with them and be happy and have a nice conversation and then move on with your life. But these strange, what do you think? What do you think? Yes, I can't. You support that team. I can't sit with you. So
sometimes the wisest use of words is to say nothing.
Absolutely. A wise man once said nothing at all. Damn nice. But again, comes right back to that presence, accessing silence piece, right? The capacity to have those tools in your toolkit are such a valuable gift. Really such a valuable gift.
Yeah. I've actually not met many women, or at least I haven't really created the discussion around if women want kids or not, because I'm only 22, and that usually isn't a conversation I like to talk about with women. I've had many conversations with women around circle, around children of them coming around their 40s and really wanting children but not having a partner. There's a lot of that, which is also a large, I wouldn't, maybe an issue or just a situation. But I'm really curious as to, personally, or maybe in a wider aspect for yourself and other women alike, what is the cause around just not having the interest
To have children?
Mm.
You know what I've found in the last 7 years, I'd say. So since I turned 30 and I got married the first time, and I knew I didn't want babies, and my friends started trying to have babies and maybe had trouble, so they had to have IVF, so couldn't have kids, or single friends panicking about not having a partner, so freezing their eggs. And I've also donated my eggs 3 times in those 7 years. What I found in those conversations and in that time is that actually most women don't know if they want children. And so the incapacity to be with the thought process around it, they just kind of park it. They're just like, oh, I'm not going to think about it. So they kind of put it off to a point where actually biologically they run into some issues. They're either too old to freeze their eggs, or they probably should have frozen them earlier, and sometimes that, and then just the stress around that whole thing sits in your system somewhere. So then that can make it more complicated. So my invitation is always, and has been these last years, really start to think to it. Just allow it to be a subject that you speak to, a subject that you speak to your partner, your friends, your parents. Let's normalize this conversation around, how is it? What's been your experience? Would you do it again if you had a second chance? I know you've had kids. Let's start to talk about it more, so that when women are really, and men are really thinking about it, there's actual thought process going in. Because what I've witnessed is lots of people just get married and have babies because that's just what you do. And that terrifies me as well. Or at least because these kids are coming into the world with parents that are just, well, I just had you because that's what we do. But more because that's a whole human life that just had another life. But actually, was that really what I wanted? And that makes me sad. It's like you reclaim autonomy over what it is that you want to experience in this vessel and experience in this lifetime, and allow yourself to ground into a position within yourself where you're happy with whatever decision that is, children or not. Both beautiful choices. But let's start to normalize the conversation around it, so that we can actively have conversations where women feel safe to say, I don't know if I want kids. Because a lot of the time it's met with, oh, you'll change your mind sometime. Of course you want kids. Of course you'll have kids. And that's a really dangerous way to respond to women. Let them have their say. Let them feel the way they feel. And will that change in time? Maybe, probably. And let people feel what they're feeling. And that goes just outside that conversation, right? Let people have an opinion on whatever they want without you needing to fix it, or needing to have your say, or thrust when I was your age, I also didn't want. Yeah, all right. Karen, shut up. No one asked you. You asked me. And this is how I feel. And let it be. Let it just be. There isn't one way. There's infinite ways. And wow, donating my eggs has been such a gift to explore that. I donated to an egg bank, which essentially is like a sperm bank for eggs. And it's I will have no idea. They'll tell me if a child's ever born of those eggs, but with no other information. So there might be, that will be happening with people that have whatever reason to go to the egg bank. How beautiful is that? They get to just go and use an egg that isn't going to be used and then have a child when they want a child. Oh, cool. And I know nothing about it. Great. Amazing. And then I've donated to couples that I know that can't have babies. And so I get to be part of that process and part of that journey. How cool is that? And then I've donated to another couple who are going to have a surrogate mother. So I've donated to the couple. The husband and my egg have made an embryo. The woman can't carry, so they'll surrogate carry, and then they'll have the child. Like, what? How cool is that?
That's incredible.
Incredible. And so there's so many ways. That's just normalized there being all the ways. Having a family is ultimately, for me, it's a choice that you make. It's the people that are in your life. It's got very little to do with blood and DNA. And again, back to the yogic teachings, right? We all come from the same source. We're all made of the same fabric. We're all made of the same stuff. And so the bloodline piece for me is quite a irrelevance, because I choose my family to be the family that I choose.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a really important piece that society should also question. Like, what's family? Like, what does that mean for you? And boxing into these funny little houses with like 2 up, 2 down and 2 kids, and that's it. And that's the family. It's like,
and your football team, and
let's broaden that.
And your government.
Break those walls down. Let's just, imagine if we all were more community and more sangha and more village and more, let that be family. Let's broaden the connection points. So we can all, interact in a way that's a lot richer for all of us that are involved. But when it comes to kids, I think just normalizing the conversation would be very helpful for women. Like saying it's okay to not know and it's okay to not want them. You're not any less of a woman for saying you don't want kids.
Yeah. You mentioned something with a yogi philosophy, and something that I've really been learning a lot in these 3.5 weeks is that, yes, yoga is more than just asana. I was also confused of, is yoga Hinduism? Is it a religion? Is it a cult? We're really understanding that yoga is this it's this crazy science that's been going on for forever. And now with modern science, it's starting to back up a lot of these things, just as we've been finding out day in, day out, which is incredible. But within the mindset of a yogi, what do you feel is the mindset of a yogi, and what is it similar to that we know in the West?
Honestly, I don't think we do. I think that's where the problem lies. We have this misconception and preconceived idea about what we think a yogi is. And ultimately for me, like, the science of yoga predates all of this. It birthed when we went from belly crawlers, and once the skull came above the hips and the kundalini started to rise, at that point, that's when, people started to have these experiences. And then when they start to sit with themselves and breathe deeper and move more and sit for longer. So it predates all of this other stuff. It predates religions and boundary lines on countries and political agendas. It predates all of that stuff. And so really it's the essence of being human. It's the essence of human nature. It's how is consciousness expressing in this vessel, i.e. human vessel, right? And it's bizarre to me that we don't all want to discover that. Seems like an obvious purpose.
Yeah.
Like, what's your purpose in life? Well, I would like to have a deeper understanding of, the consciousness that's bubbling up in this vessel and how it interacts with other vessels and the deeper nature of the human.
I feel like society gets in the way.
Of course.
Not to play victim to it, but it's the societal norms of, we might have that thought of like, oh, what's really happening here? What is a thought? And it's like, what is a thought? What is a thought? Oh, I still need to save money to put down for a mortgage. I still need to go to work tomorrow. We don't really have room and space to think and to be. I mean, we do. That's actually not true. Yeah, we do. there's always space and time. We just fill it with shit. Even if you're working a 9 to 5 job and you're saving and grinding, there is time. But it's, again, those norms of that it's normal that it feels like there's no time. Normal that we feel stressed and that we struggle to go to sleep. So we watch 3 hours of YouTube and Netflix just so we can finally close our eyes and then wake up stressed and eat a coffee. Normal shit.
I mean, the thing to remember is there's this, again, this I don't have time is just a thought.
Yeah.
Because the fundamental truth is all we have is time. That's actually all we have. And just like you said, it's not I don't have enough time. It's where does my value lie? What am I giving value to? Because what you give value to, you give your attention to. And that event happens within time. But that's all you have in this body is time. The question is, how are you spending it?
Yeah.
And so really it's about just realigning that piece. What are my priorities is a good place to start. Because yes, responsibilities are there, jobs and families and whatever. But write a list of your priorities is a good place to start. Or where you wish your priorities to be. And then write a list of where it is that you spend most time. Like, what do I spend most time doing every day? And then hold those two things together. And then there's a clear black and white. Okay, I can see what's not aligned here. And then you can start to make adjustments, right? Otherwise, it's just, yeah, like you said, you're lost in a thought, oh, what is Tao? What's the nature of Self? Oh, look at this feeling of, what is that feeling? And then life happens.
Yeah.
So if you can start to actually, like, writing such a beautiful tool to, really solidify a lot of these concepts that seem to float around in our being and getting them onto paper. And so a priority list, like where would I like my priorities to be? Like, where would I like to be able to prioritize my time? And where do I actually prioritize my time? And are two quite helpful lists to look at. It's a good starting. If I do a lot of this with one-on-one clients, I'm like, okay, how does this look? And what is this? And then we compare and we see where we can start to reshuffle. Because ultimately, yes, jobs and families and kids and these things are real life scenarios, but they're not an obstacle to allowing yourself to still find the time. It's rather readjusting the priority list and giving yourself the spaciousness so that you can focus your attention and your awareness on the things that you wish to grow. Because ultimately where you pour energy in, that will grow.
Yeah.
Just that's the law of nature. So
watering a plant.
It's literally like watering a plant. Yeah, exactly that. It's like plant the seeds that you wish to grow, but then you can't just plant them. They have to be constantly.
And what is the seed? Is the seed just a thought?
The seed could be anything, right? The seed can be anything you wish, but it's like unless you're nurturing that seed and exposing it to the right atmosphere and the right catalyst, it's not gonna work. So again, that's where you have to get clear on the bigger picture and say, okay, how do I do that? And that's where working one-on-one with someone is really helpful. Having someone to help guide you in that way and show you. And it doesn't have to be huge shifts either. It can be really small things in your day that can make a big change in these feelings of stress and anxiety and helplessness. Yeah. But working one-on-one with someone's definitely a good place to start if you're, like, oh, I've got no clue. There's lots of people out there that can help.
Just finding someone who's a friend or someone in your community who's doing well. Not clinging to them like an old record, but finding a community or one person that is better than you in something, and then aligning yourself with them. That's how because I've had to completely rinse all of my friends, and it was a arduous process, and it wasn't even it was a conscious one, but it was also one that it was just inevitable. I pulled away for a little bit, and then they stopped contacting. All the people that tell you drunkenly at 7 a.m. in the morning after 2 days awake with each other, oh, I love you, man, I'll do anything for you, and then you disappear for 10 days. And they stop texting. And they stop texting, and then they forget because they're not really caring, I guess. And where was I going with?
Just on that piece, it's interesting you just said this though. I never think it's easy in those situations. This happens a lot where you start to shift towards a more expanded state of consciousness, and that these changes start to happen.
Yeah.
So friend circle is one, and there can be this feeling of like, oh, they, firstly, there's this feeling of, oh, they obviously don't care about me because they're not getting in touch. But then there's also this feeling of, oh, well, I still want to be liked, so I'm going to try and stay in touch. And so there's this back and forth that happens for quite a while. And ultimately, again, it comes back to this recognition that the change in time, irrespective of what you're doing in your life, is an inevitable thing, right? Like, it's whether you like it or not, change will happen. Again, this control piece.
You change, man.
You change, man. Yeah, no shit. Like, yeah. With all changing in time, it's a process of time. That's what happens. Yeah. So if change is inevitable, the question isn't, is change going to happen? The question is, how am I choosing to change?
Yeah.
And so once the change starts to become evolutionary and this upward spiral of, and things start to drop off, can I look back at it with reverence and with the knowing that I still hold these people from a space of love? I've got no qualms with what they're doing, how they're choosing to live. If I saw them in the street and we could still have a coffee or a beer and say hi, great. But what you find is that people that are stuck in this root chakra imbalance, I'm in control of my life, I'm in control, I'm not changing, are changing regressively. And so they have the capacity to broaden the bandwidth of, oh, I can look back on this person from a place of love. So then it gets really challenging as someone stepping further into that expanded consciousness. The question is then, can you also hold them in love from that space still? Can you still have reverence and grace for them, even in the choices that they're making, and just hold them fully? That's who you are, and that's what you're choosing, and that's beautiful. It's not my choice. And really be a light for them and the people around you. I think lots of the time what you find is, if you can really step into that luminous place, and not from a space of savior or God complex, from a deep-rooted sense of love.
Yeah.
What you find is people are naturally, like moths to a flame, and naturally drawn towards light, irrespective of the state that they're in, the consciousness state they're vibrating from. And so beautifully, like, sometimes what happens is those people in time, they'll reach out, they'll reconnect. And it might happen in a year, and it might happen in 10 years. But if you continue to anchor yourself into that luminous, grounded place, and a place ultimately of love, you will draw towards you. People will want to experience your light, and they'll also want to expand into that themselves. And that's where these teachings become such a beautiful share, because it's not about me being the teacher and having students. It's about me being the student and bringing people into this ever evolving chain of students, like Anand speaks to. Like, it's not about a golden chain of teachers, it's a golden chain of students. So you just become that luminous person, and then more luminous people come to you. They're like, how do I turn on the lights?
Yeah.
And it's great. But the shedding is necessary. The shedding and the shifting and the changing and the knowing when to step forward in a way and namaste from over here is such an important part of the process. Otherwise, it really can slow down the evolution of where the self wants to go. And so you've got to know how to listen into those moments, and continue to choose those choices from a place of love. Like, this person in this relationship isn't serving me anymore. Thank you. I love you. It's been wonderful. And I'm moving on with my life. Yeah. And it's hard. It sucks sometimes. It really sucks.
Yeah. The letting go, the cleansing, the clearing is so necessary. I remember when I was doing one of my first ever trainings, it was in breathwork, and it was about a 12-week course, but 8 weeks of it we were working one-on-one with 3 or 4 different life coaches for 3 calls a week, and we're doing everything consciousness but a lot about trauma. And one of the things that really shocked me with the discussion and really took me for a ride was when he noted that, we can do breath work, we can get out of our body and everything, but inevitably we also have to decide to not carry this trauma anymore. In a book that I'm reading at the moment, The Courage to be Disliked, it talks all about Adlerian psychology, in which we're using trauma to cater to a belief that is currently protecting us. So another thing that he talks into is, as a child, if you're not, so let's say my brother was an amazing athlete, and he was. He won all the medals, all the trophies, everything, and I was not. I was the arty kid. I cared more about girls and just art and music, and soon that didn't really pay off when I got to high school, and there was a lot of pressure around sports. I was living next to 2 football ovals, so we still, if we can't be extremely good, we don't want to be normal, so we might as well be extremely bad, because then we still get the same attention as if we're winning trophies if we are, if our parents don't know where we are for 2 weeks and we're just sleeping on couches, living in parks. And it comes back to this trauma piece of, for so long I used this fiction, or it wasn't a fiction story, but I used this story of when I was 14 and I was held up in a gun robbery to cater for, this is why I'm like this. This is why I'm broken. This is why I'm allowed to do this. And people would let me off for it as well, because it's the culture, because we've been brought up on this very backward approach of cause and effect, where, oh yeah, that happened to him, it was terrible, so it's no wonder that he's going through this. It's no wonder that he can't sit still with himself, or he can't face himself and these emotions. It's no wonder that he's probably going to end up in this way, acting as if it's a disadvantage to me that these things happen, when it's such an advantage. It provides us such a scope to create new opportunity, to create, and instead of continuing with the same sentence.
It's flipping the lens from, because if you're sat in that victim identity, right, this happened to me and therefore you're playing the effect.
Yeah.
And you're not the effect. You're the cause. It's about stepping into the driving seat. And this is why these teachings are so powerful, because yoga, Tantra, it asks you to take radical responsibility for your being. It says everything in your life is the way it is because you're giving it permission to be so. So do the work, make the choice, move forward. Do the work, make the choice, move forward. Allow that karmic cycle to start to be one that is evolutionary, one that is, start rewriting those stories in the now, that rewrite the past. And that's what it's saying. There's this, again, another misconception about yoga. It's all nice and we're just going to feel nice. It's like, no. This is going to be confronting. The point of this is to confront yourself. It's to look at yourself fully and go, where am I still falling into these same patterns and these same stories? What stories am I telling myself?
Yeah.
Where are the questions that I'm asking coming from? Why am I even asking the question? Not what is the question, but what identity is the question based in? What structure of belief is the question based in? It's asking all of these things, and that's hard to do. It's not comfortable. It's not easy. It's not nice. It doesn't always feel good.
Yeah, but also provides a bit more of once we realize that, we can then look back in our life and be like, okay, where else am I feeding this belief? Where else am my behavior and my habits or the way in which I'm holding myself in my shoulders, or the way in which I'm describing myself to others? Am I just feeding this boring belief that isn't true? Because what's true is what we make true.
Well, and also if you go to truth as its at its truest essence, like truth in its infinite capacity, is not something that any of us even own. It's just like, how do we dial and attune ourselves to that level of truth? And then from that space, everything's expansive. We are infinite. So it's like all these stories just melt away.
Yeah.
Right? When you get to the true depth of it, like, oh, is this true? Is this false? It's not about that. Truth, like, you can't have your truth or your truth, because truth it's not personal. It doesn't belong to anyone. At its essence, it's infinity. It's boundless. It's boundlessness. So you can't be held captive within boundlessness. There's no boundaries on it. So it's like, how do you find access to that feeling within you? How do you tap into that essence of whatever you want to call it? Truth, consciousness, bliss, God. The wording that you choose isn't irrelevant. But rather, how do you find access to that? And that's what these teachings are drawing us towards, an experience of and an understanding of, through experience and through technique, that vast nature. Because from that place, there's no, who am I? What should I do with my life? Or am I good enough? Or will I get married? Or any of these, like, the noise, it dissolves. And you've been in these suspended states. You've had these experiences where you take yourself in practice to those places of spaciousness, connection to God, whatever. Again, and using God cautiously, because people, again, have a deep, rife misunderstanding of what we're referring to. But in those moments, you don't sit, it's not like you're there and you're going, oh, but what do I want to do with my life? Like, the questions dissolve. The meaning is in the experience.
Yeah.
It's not what's the meaning of life. It's life itself is the meaning of life. The experiencing of life, the capacity to be where your feet are and experience life, that's where the meaning lies. The capacity to be, well, what's your purpose? No, the capacity to be purposeful in every moment. The Dharma triangle we spoke to, like, it's that, where am I now? What am I doing right now? Can I be here now as fully as I can be? If you keep consistently doing that, life's really good. Yeah. Those questions definitely dissolve.
Yeah. Thank you so much, so much for sitting down with me. It's been such a pleasure getting to know you a bit better over the 3.5 weeks. It's
goes quick, huh?
It goes so quick, and I'm really grateful that I was so honored to have this time with you to get to know you a little bit more. I knew that you were more than just a asana breakdown teacher.
It's been a pleasure, and thank you for your heart and your energy. And it's it doesn't ever cease to bring me such joy when there are men in these trainings. And the reason I say that is because I've spent many years doing many trainings at many places. And there's lots of women. And again, because this idea of what yoga is, and like you said, people back home, the men would think this. And it's such a gift to have men in the space exploring consciousness and the human being in the way that you are. And so I pray you go out and teach and inspire other people, humans and men, to do the work also. So thank you.
Well, thank you so much. And where can they
find me? Thanks, Abby. They can find me on Instagram at Miss Charlotte Holmes. That's probably the best place. You'll tag it though, I'm sure.
Yeah.
At
Find you at Sattva.
Holmes. Yeah, find me at Sattva. I've got an app. I teach yoga on an app if you're wanting to experience some non-yoga teacher training intensity of techniques, something simpler. Maybe the carpenters back at home that aren't sure where to start. Then Inside Out Yoga is my app. Simon and I teach on that, and there's some really nice beginner-friendly ways to explore out of monkey mind into human body.
Out of croissant into
I
opened your app and I saw that one.
It's a good one.
I love it. Thank you so much, Charlotte.
Okay.
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Shanti.
Hari Om. That's that.
Jai Ma.
You've made it to the end of the pod. If you could do me a huge favor and leave a 5-star review, this can really help the show grow. If you wish to post this podcast on your story, I'll DM you and personally thank you for helping this show grow and reach a new, wider audience. Thank you so much for tuning in. Keep wondering.